So one has to ask, when looking at the bigger picture in terms of economics, even, why is the United States still there? Obviously, it's to do with the oil and the Saudis and the petrodollar. But even that, Trump is claiming that he wants to move away from with, developing the shale reserves, and which, of course, are kind of kept subdued by the low oil prices of protecting the Saudis. So even though there's a natural gas component of that too, which we could talk about because there's some interesting news with respect to liquid natural gas carriers owned by the Chinese today that Trump, somebody brought to his attention. But what is the economic motive at this point? And is it still the same? Is it just to protect the oil and their interests in the region, or are the interests evolving? Or is it just so that they can have dominance over the region? Is that really what the end game is here, just to get rid of the Persians?
Yes, well, it's a combination of factors. But if you zoom out, let's just say the United States doesn't need hydrocarbons at all from the Middle East. If they leave the region alone, it's allowed to develop, there is peace and stability. They're going to export huge amounts of hydrocarbons to China, which is exactly what the US doesn't want. So this is why they're so hugely invested, especially in toppling Iran. If they can topple the government there and cut hydrocarbons off from there, or even just destabilize the whole region. They don't even have to succeed, just destabilize it, prevent hydrocarbons, or even reduce hydrocarbons flowing from the region to the Chinese economy. This is what drives everything the US does in every policy paper, especially more recent ones. All they talk about is the rise of China, this desperate need to stop their growth, to resubordinate them to the collective West and the United States specifically, which is unrealistic, doesn't make any sense logically why the United States, which represents 4.5% of the global population, thinks it should dominate the other 96% of the population. Doesn't make any sense at all, but this is what is stuck in their mind. This is what you see, the common thread through all of these policy papers is not necessarily the Middle East, it's the role the Middle East plays in helping the growth of China. And China's growth is helping the rise and the development of all of these other nations. I'm here based in Southeast Asia, here in Thailand. I've watched over the last 20 plus years, I've been here almost my entire adult life, I've watched it transform. And it is because of the rise of China. I've watched even remote places here in Thailand develop because of the rise of China. And this was something that simply wasn't possible when the West still had huge amounts of control over the region. So that it's all interlinked. It is not necessarily just Iran that the US is focused on. It's the role Iran plays in this growing multipolar world. The US does not want to exist. It is not a war necessarily against Iran or China or Russia. It's a war against multipolarism and a balance of power among nations. The US wants to maintain hegemony.